Home. Chapter 56. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Video edited by T.S. If you haven't already, don't forget to not only subscribe, but also thumbs up this video and leave a comment in the comment section. If you don't know what to type, put Hokkaido Adventures or Japan Adventures if you don't know how to spell Hokkaido. Now then, if you haven't heard the previous 55 chapters of this story, they are all linked in the description box. Go check them out. As long as we're looking at the description box, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at mirarose.me. Thanks. Now then, please enjoy Home, Chapter 56. Adrian Graham de Vanderlee as Cat Noir. Here? Are you sure? Cat asked, staring up at the building in front of them. The Kwamis led them to Hokkaido University in the Kita ward, but he was a bit skeptical. A student bested him, blocked his memories, and stole the miraculous? No way! Marinette snuck a glance at Tiki, hiding in her purse, then echoed her nod. So it seems. I can't get a clear sense, but he's definitely closer. He might even be on this campus, Tiki squeaked, doing her best to contain her voice to just the three of them. Now he was standing out as Cat Noir. Unfortunately, he might have to parade around as Adrian after all. Should we risk getting a room? He asked, seeing the time as Marinette checked her phone. But it's only... Marinette began. Well, first of all, we need a base. A base? And second of all, it's 10 at night. But Franz is 8 hours behind. I can keep going. Marinette. He put his hands on her shoulder. I know time is of the essence, but we need to think things through. Eventually, she agreed, and they found a hotel 6 minutes away from the station by foot. They nearly didn't get a room, because it turns out there was some boy band playing a show that night, but there was a cancellation. Marinette agreed to it before he could turn down the idea. 1 room for both of them? Wow, she'd clearly moved on. Was he the only one uncomfortable with the unspoken dynamic between them? They went upstairs, following the directions the front desk clerk gave to them in English, and found their room. Okay then, Marinette said, swiping her card. This will be... She cut herself off as they stared at the room, decorated with only an end table and a bed with a singular pillow. What's this? 4 square meters and a toilet? Cat asked, suddenly very aware of how small the doorway was as he stood next to Marinette. So much for one of us sleeping on the couch. Marinette sighed and walked in, setting her purse on the end table. Well, I'm all right with the... Cat began. Don't you dare talk about sleeping on the floor. She whipped around, her braid whipping from her back to over her shoulder as she crossed her arms. But with your wingspan? No, your shoulders alone are too big for down there. Marinette pointed at the floor. Cat chose his next few words carefully. But I don't want you to sleep down there either. I won't. Your internal clock is used to it here, right? I'm still rearing to go, so you rest and I'll go work out, okay? A mixture of relief and disappointment flooded him. Wait. Disappointment? No. That's a misinterpretation of his feelings. Anyway, he nodded, stepping inside the room. At least the ceilings weren't small. Marinette left quickly, practically dancing around him to get out of the small room. The mirror was in the bathroom, so it should be okay, right? Yeah, it should be okay. Cat detransformed and climbed into bed, suddenly exhausted from the day. She was right about his sleep schedule. Sure, he'd slept last night in Paris, but it was more of a nap. He spent most of the hours staring at the ceiling and trying not to be consumed by the thoughts of Marinette and the memories they shared in that room. After unwrapping the last of the camembert from the cheese store, Adrian's head hit the pillow, knocking him out almost instantly, preventing any development of swirling thoughts. Adrian woke from the depths of sleep to a warmth at his back and nearly teared up. When was the last time he'd been touched? There was no doubt it was Marinette, her back pressed to his in this tiny bed as it was immediately removed. She was stiff as well, despite her cool demeanor. He couldn't rotate without letting her know she'd woken him, but he ever so slowly made more room for her, his face still aimed at the wall of the room. Despite their lack of touching, the space beneath the blanket was warm. Whether it was an emotional warmth or physical warmth, Adrian couldn't tell, but he wanted to cling to it. With everything he'd gained these last few years, he'd also lost this. Wide awake now, Adrian waited for what he hoped was about an hour before rolling over in place, confirming that it was, indeed, Marinette sleeping beside him. This is what he'd left behind. This kind of moment. Was it worth it? Had it been worth it? Could he leave it again? He had no right to these thoughts, but held on to them anyway. Memories of her were too painful to think about on his own, but now they were literally sharing a bed together like some monthly shoujo manga. Taking care to not wake her, Adrian pulled out his phone and started scrolling, knowing he'd need to either kill some hours or accidentally wake her up to get out of this bed. He chose the former, opening his solitaire app and starting a game. The room was warm as the games passed by, sleep clinging to his eyes once more as the early light filtered into morning. His stomach protested, a testament of how long he'd been in this bed, but he ignored it. Turning his phone off, Adrian nestled back into what little room he had on his side of the bed and closed his eyes, not thinking of consequences. And with that, the young superhero fell asleep, prepared for the day to come. Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 57 is on the way. If you are still listening, don't forget to not only subscribe and hit that like button to help out the creator, that's me, hi, I'm Mira, but also leave a comment for bonus points. If you don't know what to comment, put a small bed. I will catch you in the next one. Bye!